On today's episode of Wellness on the Rocks, I am joined by the general manager of San Diego's oldest bar. Her father, Greg McPartlin, a former Navy SEAL, founded McPee's Irish Pub on Coronado, and she grew up working behind the bar, learning the ins and outs of the restaurant industry from an early age. She's also worked for RMD Group and has spent the last 5 years as a general manager of Tivoli Bar and Grill. Today, we discuss what it's like to run a mom-and-pop restaurant and bar, the importance of balancing the needs of your guests, your team, and yourself, and the challenges of maintaining professionalism while staying authentic. My guest today is a kind, knowledgeable person who has a wealth of wisdom to share about the restaurant and bar industry. Please welcome to the show, Jessica McPartlin. Cheers, dude.
Cheers.
Thank you for coming out. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Oh, long time coming. So you and I first met. We met that one night. I don't know if you remember this, back at Urban Wood when Zach was behind the bar and you were there with Lisa. I think we were just talking about restaurants and bar stuff, and you gave me your card at the end of the night, and you go, "Oh, here's my card." And I just remember like, "Oh, that was a really nice touch."
Thank you. It's all about the old school touch.
I think through getting to know you since then, and through, you work at the general manager for Tivoli Bar and Grill, Tivoli Sports Bar, Tivoli Bar and Grill?
Tivoli Bar and Grill.
And, that's like it's like the oldest bar in San Diego. And I've gotten to know some of your bartenders, some of the regulars work there,
Sure.
and they've all said really good things about you.
Oh, appreciate that. Yeah, it's a good crowd.
I think through from that night and getting to know you a little bit, I think you are somebody that has had a lot of experience in this industry. And you kind of just intrigued me as somebody who I was like, oh, wow, that person has a lot of perspective when it comes to restaurants, bars, and knowledge. And I was like, I kind of want to get to know this person a little bit more and kind of pick her brain a little bit, because I feel like through our conversations, you have a lot of wisdom and sort of knowledge to give. So welcome.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
So I guess I kind of like to start with people how did you get into this industry? And what was your first job, and where did that lead? How did that take you to the general manager of the oldest bar in San Diego?
Well, how much time do you have? Okay, well, I'll start with the basics. So I was basically born into this industry. My dad, a long time, he was a former Navy SEAL. So he got tired of getting kicked out of bars, ended up opening his own bar in Coronado, McPee's Irish Pub, very famous bar. I ran that bar for years. And then I got out of hospitality for a little bit, but honestly, it's in my heart. I dabbled in a few different industries. And then I ended up moving downtown and working for a company, a pretty popular company, these restauranteurs that have a few clubs. And I would always go into Tivoli, like many of the industry do, and before my work shift, after my work shift, and I got to know the owners really well. And all of a sudden, I am now the GM. We've developed a great relationship. I started working there, actually, security, bar backing.
Wow.
And then
when was that? How long ago was that?
That was actually the middle of the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. So, it's been about 5 years now. So I went through a pandemic with them. I started on the floor, but moved up to upper management and became the GM. And it's been the person's job I took over knew my background with my family, knew the type of jobs that I've done, and they recommended me for the position. And here I am 5 years later.
So where were you working over COVID, which brought you to Tivoli?
I was working with RMD Group. So we opened up Huntress and Lumi. Okay. And then the pandemic happened, unfortunately, and everyone had to shut their doors.
Yeah.
And I worked with management with them, and I've always kind of worked in a relaxed mom and pop's bar environment.
Yeah.
So Tivoli was a really good fit for me. It took me back home to McPee's, the style that I was used to with my family. So I transitioned after the pandemic. And
So did you get laid off from there? Did they close it, kick everybody out, or like?
they ended up closing the doors for the pandemic.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was
one thing. I'm sorry to interrupt. Okay, so you're with RMD, and then you
Yes.
over COVID, you say Tivoli gives you a shot. They bring you in and they say, we need help with security, waiting tables, like.
I actually was going through a big transition in my life. Unfortunately, my father had just passed away.
Okay.
And then I lost my brother short after. I sound like a country song. Went through a divorce, lost my business, lost my land. No, so I had a lot of transitions. And with RMD Group, it wasn't I wasn't moving up the ladder in the way that I saw fit, but we've maintained a great relationship.
Yeah.
And going into Tivoli, it just felt right. So I took a big move, and I hadn't been back in the downtown area working in the bar industry prior to that, about 10 years. So yeah, it was a big move for me. And then I went up to the office and started doing the books, became the GM. And we've been through so much, the owners and I. It's been 5 years, and it feels like it's been.
So you went from like
10
corporate restaurant group downtown to like oldest dive bar in the city.
Yes.
And that's got to be a weird trend. Like, have you? I guess was McPee's not? It was an Irish pub.
Irish pub, big Navy SEAL hangout. Yeah, it was definitely, but it had that local feel.
Yeah. How
Tivoli has, we have a lot of our regulars. We get a lot of the industry. Definitely different areas of town, Coronado, from going back into, the Gaslamp area. And it's a hard area, with the homeless that we deal with and everything. It's
constant competition.
Right.
New spots opening up. Okay. So you start waiting tables at Tivoli. What made you jump to management?
I honestly had a background in management. I went to school for business management, San Diego State, as did the owners. We had a lot in common. I know that in most businesses you have to start from the ground up. I wanted to learn every aspect of the business, learn the bar side, even that means bussing tables, bartending. But I was more fit to move up to the office. And there was a lot of stuff that I had done with my family's business that I could tell that this business needed help with. Yeah. So to offer that expertise, and it's just been an amazing fit. We've gone through so much together, from pandemics, Padres, you name it.
Yeah, I think
if those walls could talk.
going from like bartender, manager, security to management is such a different transition.
Right.
It's such a different skill set. You got to have like the knowledge and wisdom of it's like of everything that's going on in the bar, but also like how to manage people.
Right.
And that's kind of tough.
No, it is. And being a woman entrepreneur in a man-dominated industry, that's, you have to prove yourself. And there's not a lot of women at my age that are GMs. And so that was a big accomplishment. But it's definitely a male-dominated industry. Yeah. And I've, worked, I don't want to say like misogynist men in the past, but didn't give me that opportunity. But the Romero brothers, my bosses at Tivoli, they gave me that opportunity. Nice. And they believed in me. So it's been really nice to be able to exercise what I know, my knowledge, put that into the business and see it grow. And
yeah, they saw like potential in you. And,
sure.
And how long have you been the GM for?
5 years.
5 years of GM at Tivoli.
5 years.
Okay. That's another question I had, is like, being a woman in this industry, I feel like we get treated very differently. Men and women, like, there's pros and cons to being both. I think for me personally, what I see working around liquor and beer and that it's like a vice, and where people go to blow off steam.
Sure.
You see a lot of men sometimes talk down to women, and they go, and it's like the relationship is very different.
Sure. You have to have thick skin in this industry. Definitely.
Yeah. And I think that like a lot of places look to hire attractive females.
Sure.
And they don't, and there's certain roles for different people. Not all bars are like that. There's But like, has it been challenging? I know you kind of just talked about that, but like being a woman in this industry and coming up through a family bar, like what are some of the other things? What are some of the things that you've had to deal with that are challenges or that you've learned or like that you would, maybe do differently, or some advice you can give out to some other women who are coming up, because it's very different for both of us. So like, what's some advice that you could give out to some younger women who are coming up in the bar industry?
I think definitely not to sell yourself short, and to definitely like know what your morals and your standards are and to stand by them.
Okay.
And because you can be put in situations where that can be compromised sometimes, unfortunately. And I think just staying true to who you are and believing in yourself and having that respect and that boundaries. But also there is a certain level that you have to take it to. Obviously in a male dominated industry where you're not so closed off, but learning how to navigate that and use it in the correct way will definitely be to your benefit. But it's definitely, I love seeing now a lot more female entrepreneurs out there. And my advice to them is just, stay strong and always hold your ground. And definitely there are industries that you will dominate in, but there's some old school ways in that sense. But I'm kind of a manly girl, man. So I get the banter, but I think just I've always been able to stand by my morals and not put myself in situations that would compromise that.
Was that a tough transition coming in as a female GM of like this old dive bar that's downtown? Did you have to go through some growing pains with staff or customers or anything?
Well, honestly, my dad was a former Navy SEAL, and I'm pretty tough.
You kind of got that from day one. You just say, no, I'm not fucking around.
Yeah, I was the only one out of his 5 kids that was born in Montana, raised in Coronado. But I hunt, I fish. I've always been able to hold my own ground. So I think I have that going for me.
You kind of have that energy where it's like, it's about presence.
It is. And just knowing, I feel very protected in the area where I live. We have the fire, my regulars know me. We have the firemen there, the great relationship with San Diego Police Department. So I definitely do feel that. You
feel like you got the love from those around.
I do. So I definitely feel empowered and I feel safe in my environment. I know there's a lot of people that are scared to come downtown to the Gaslamp, but now living there for 5 years with my office on the same block that I live on, it's good. It's not. It's not as scary as people think.
I do know some other, I know some female GMs of some bars in the Gaslamp, and they do have that fucking like, they're not like big intimidating women, but you do have to bring a sense of presence to the bar.
100%.
You know what I mean?
It's hard being an alpha female, so to speak.
You have to. I mean, you gotta like fucking. It's got to be like, hey, listen to me. This is what's happening. I'm not, even though you might be 6'5" and hammered.
Sure.
And you got your security behind you, your bartender behind you, but it's like you got to get through to these drunk assholes sometimes. Right. Like this is how it's gonna go.
Right.
And I think the fact that you've been doing this 5 years, not because you're a woman. That's not what I'm saying, but like, it's not an easy job.
No, a lot of people mistake kindness for weakness. And that was also a big lesson, having to learn that, I'm not in the business to be making friends. I'm here to be a boss and be respected.
Yeah.
And sometimes as a woman with more of like a friendlier banter, so to speak, I'm not sending emojis or anything. I'm learning to be more direct and not let, obviously so much conversation go on, because that can get misconstrued, so to speak. With men, I think they're a lot more direct when it comes to that. With women, we kind of go off that feelings. We tend to overshare things, overthink things. So I've had to really learn to be direct, be business oriented with my staff, be professional in that sense, where this is not, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to be a boss, but still have that banter where they feel safe to come to me. And so I've developed great relationships with all my staff.
Yeah.
And I do feel like it took a long time to earn their respect. And I'm with that because I think respect is earned.
Yeah.
But definitely I think that was being a female and coming into it at my age, there was a lot that I had to prove.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right when you said this is a business. And I think sometimes people can mistake, like we are in the business of entertainment and fun and play. And I think
right,
like we go to work to put on fun for people.
Right.
But when you and I are coworkers, it's like there's I kind of use the analogy like front stage, backstage. When we're out and you're bartending, you're on the floor. It's like, hey, what's up? Oh, Jessica. But it's like when the fucking lights go up and the doors close, it's like, or even when you're back in the kitchen or whatever, it's business.
Right.
Like we're not, it's a fine. I don't know if I'm explaining myself correctly, but like there is a fine line between like we're buddies, but we're also it's business first.
Right, 100%. And that it's good to have that banter. And you're always on a stage at a bar. So I get like both ways of what you're saying because, you're a therapist, you're an actor, you have to portray a certain way. But you know what goes behind the scenes of bars, all the shenanigans, all the politics.
Oh, there's so much. Like people think this job is just like showing up and pouring drinks.
Oh my gosh.
That's like the easiest part of the job.
My little brother once said, and it's funny, he goes, bartenders are like carnies. Some of them, not all of them, because
no, I believe it.
Out of every 15 employees I have, there's 8 great ones that I'm not meaning that analogy to, but there's their dog always ate their homework. There's something always on. There's a concert. Someone broke their toe. There's always a lot that goes on.
So no,
with my staff. They're like the children that I always wanted but didn't want.
I think that I try to think of the analogy of why do people, get into the hospitality industry or restaurants.
Right.
And I think there's people who are very professional and very disciplined and want to learn and grow and are somebody like you who wants those leadership roles and who wants to go, to the next step. And then there's also another area of people who it's a job they fell into and you can kind of mosey your life, your way through life in this industry being a dysfunctional, drunk.
And
I'm not trying to insult people in this industry, but but you do learn that.
Are you talking about lifers, so to speak?
Not lifers. No. I didn't want to insult people. No.
No, because there's no turnover.
I'm talking about so many people get in this industry for so many ways. There's people who, have kids and they need to and they put their kids through college,
'cause the money's good,
or they are a student and this is a part-time job, or there's people who are lifers, and then there's people who are just kind of messes.
Right.
And I work at an industry bar and I have so many great customers, but the unfortunate thing is the reality is I do see people kind of go off the fucking rails sometimes.
Oh, 100%.
And I think that was kind of, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but I mean that in a real way.
I know.
And I think that's one of the reasons how I came up with this concept, wellness on the rocks, was because I do see, I see a lot of people in the hospitality industry fucking, whether it's, and that's what kind of brought me to this point was whether it's the home life that puts you in the bar, or was it working in bars around liquor and alcohol and the dysfunction that we go through that creates havoc in your home life. Now, I don't know, but I know through experience of going through this industry and dealing with, coworkers and roommates and girlfriends and bosses that it can be there is that sort of at times lack of professionalism depending on where you work or where you are. And that's when things can kind of fucking go south.
No,
So
I think it takes so much discipline to be a bartender and be able to maintain that. Hence that I work in the office. I do the numbers. I do the lawsuits. I could see if I, so to speak, were to bartend, that lifestyle would be, it's hard on you. Having to deal with drunk people, having to, those hours, getting out of work at 4 a.m. sometimes. And you and I both know drunk people are annoying if you don't have a little buzz on. But being able to maintain that.
That's what I'm saying. Is you're so right.
How do you not slip into that factor where that's an everyday thing and the alcohol, it's there, it's present. It's a really slippery slope. So I give it out to the people that can maintain that don't drink on the job and that know that fine line, because it
can go so fast.
It really can. And I've seen it on all ends.
That's where I'm at right now. I'm 33 and I've kind of realized
You're a
that.
Baby.
I know. I feel it. Well, my body feels like I'm fucking 60.
How old do you think I am?
34.
All right, I'll take it.
Oh, how old are you?
So I'll actually be 40 this year.
Really?
On 4/20.
Oh, birthday's 420.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's coming up. I've been starting to make appointments, and I'm like 3, 4, something's 10 weeks out, and I'm like 40.
Bro.
But they say it's the best years of your life. That's what Sex and the City says, at least. So.
No, but what was I going to say?
Sorry, I interrupted you. I got excited about age.
I think that we were talking about
bartending being hard on your body and soul, and
yeah, I think
maintaining the balance.
Yeah, balance,
Key.
because
That's key in the industry, right? Wellness
it is
on the rocks.
It is key in this industry. I think that people don't. I moved out here actually. I was sober when I moved out here.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you move out? If you don't mind me asking, did you move out here?
You can ask me anything you want, by the way.
To get sober?
No.
Was this like something that you just were already doing back home, but you needed a change? Was this?
No. I was sober for 5.5 months.
Okay.
Not because of some bad incident or not because of,
Sorry, I don't want to take over like the interview.
No. You are welcome to ask me any question. No. I like this.
It's good for people to know.
It wasn't like a bad incident. You're working in bars in New York City, New Jersey, and I think with these constant late nights, exactly what we're talking about, you do experience what you were just, and that's why I like that you brought that up.
Bartender burnout?
Well, no, you said,
or that's when you're annoyed with people.
You said that bartenders, you're better social when you got a little buzz. But that limit, it's such a fine line with that.
And how do you separate that when it's not like?
Well, no, it's just you can go overboard sometimes. Right. And I'm somebody who likes to stop things like before they
go to the next
too far.
Extreme, right?
So I was like, you know what? Why don't we just give up alcohol for a little bit? And I realized what happened was what I've learned about, when the brain and alcohol and things like that is when you stop drinking, your brain kind of doesn't know what to do and it freaks out. Yeah. And I think what I did was, looking back, like you're so used to chaos. When your brain doesn't have chaos, it doesn't know what to do, so you seek out chaos.
Sure.
So I think
we're all masochists to our own self. I
think moving out here was like mental and was like, I just turned 30 and I was like, I have this skill set working in this industry. I can go do this anywhere in the country.
Sure.
Let's go try a new challenge. Let's go try some new chaos.
Right.
So that's like what brought me out here.
The fact that you recognize that at that age, at 30, is
well, no, huge. I think I'm realizing it now at like 33. No, but still, similar.
Like that's really powerful. The fact that you were able to see that and make that move.
Yeah, I think I'm like trying to be more like self-aware of my decisions in life,
right?
And like my habits,
and
just the things that like, I think the goal, like what I want to see for my coworkers, my customers, my guests that come on like the goal of this podcast is to kind of like promote good people in this industry and like help others who are struggling. That's like one of the bones of this thing is like, yo, I'm dealing with things, but I'm finding ways to succeed. I've gotten to know you a little bit, and I see that you're succeeding, and I see your little network of bartenders, people who know you, people who work for you, and I'm like, oh, this girl is like, she maybe hasn't gotten it all figured out there yet, but she has figured a little bit of success out. So like, that's like kind of like, I don't know, like, I'm trying to like, I guess I would hope for, if I'm being honest, like success for you.
Thank you.
And in the future, like, I don't know what your future entails, whether it's to be GM of Tivoli for the rest of your life, whether it's to open up your own bar, whether it's to get out and get into sales. I don't know if you have a family. Like, I think we got to, as in this community, just sort of like, so much is negative. There's so much negativity, and can we like create optimism and positivity and helping good people and those who can't figure it out.
Right.
That's like, the goal of this.
Sure. And I love the message that your podcast delivers, and it's definitely something that I figure out on a daily basis. I'm definitely very blessed to have finally working for bosses that I can use my creative energy. But it's definitely been a long time coming, and I've struggled. I've done pretty much everything from having a real estate license to door knocking, selling alarm systems, being in sales, doing bottle service, going back to the bar business, back to that structured environment. But I definitely love the bar industry in a mom and pop environment. That's why Tivoli is so special to me, because the owners own the land. It's like you mentioned earlier, the oldest bar in San Diego. There's so much history in the walls, and I very much want to protect my bosses and know that, like, because what happened with my family's business, that they have put their family, their blood on the line to create a type of bar that you can't emulate. There's not
You
many.
can't. No, you can't
recreate.
Well, people
that.
try, but you don't see it succeed.
You can make a tiki bar, you can do a speakeasy, but there's something about Tivoli that you'll never really be able to recreate.
What do you think? What do you think it is about dive bars? Like, why do you like dive bars?
First of all, we're not supposed to call them dive bars. We're supposed
Really?
to call them
Is that a thing?
historic bars,
I've never heard that.
because dive sounds like low or below. So when people come in, this is a dive bar. 'Cause we're in a lot of the like dive books. Number one, if I had $1 for every time Bar Rescue called. But the thing about calling it dive makes it sound like it's
I
diving.
totally agree with you. No,
So
but I've never heard that
historic
before.
bar. Yeah, we don't call it dive.
Can I say something though? Like, working in the industry, like I know people who your friend who we talked about earlier who works at, I've never heard anybody say that.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll
Is
give
that
you
a-
new stuff all day long.
Good. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Okay.
got a lot of.
So what would you classify Tivoli as?
A historic bar.
Okay. All right. Let's break. I didn't know that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dive sounds like you're like diving down. It's like, but there's.
I understand where you're coming from,
Historic, yeah.
but like, I guess from like my perspective is like, I look at that as like a good thing. Not diving down, but like, I don't look at dive bars as in a bad connotation.
And I love a good dive bar.
Yeah.
By the way, anywhere I go, I'll look for the biggest dive bar.
That's what I'm saying.
or
Like
historic bar.
when I go to like cities, I'll Google like what are the best dive
Right.
bars in
You
Hollywood.
can't Google them. You just have to walk into them by accident.
Yeah, very true. Well, I guess if I'm when I go to shows in LA and stuff
Right.
like that, I'll be like, what are the best bar? Like, because I don't want to go to cocktail speakeasies. That's just not my
No.
that's
I
not
like
my
a
preference.
Good VFW and like
Fuck yeah, dude.
American Legion, like a bar by like a
Yeah.
gas station or off a beaten side of the road. Like I don't like but when the time is right. Don't get me wrong. If I want to go to some bougie, fancy, I'm a connoisseur, but my heart is with historic bars.
If I'm being honest, I
Not
think
dive.
that hold on one second. What is McPartlin? Is that
Well, I'm Irish.
Irish?
I'm
Okay.
I'm a little bit of everything.
So your father's Irish and your mother is?
Italian, German.
It's so interesting. My dad's Irish. My mother's Italian.
So he was meant
And
to be.
and when I get upset with her, I
Yeah.
just turn into I do. I don't know where it comes from.
You do the hand
I'm like,
motions?
because you want to know what it is. I don't want to get fucking mad at her and yell at
Yeah,
her.
you're a
So
good
I
boy.
start talk with I'm like, what are
Oh,
you
yeah.
doing?
These hands can be.
Oh,
I end up hitting people in the face with them. That's why I have to keep them crossed.
you just you know what? It's a little trick I do when I have to deal with a difficult situation at the bar.
Oh yeah.
What I do is I sometimes don't know what to do with my hands, so I put my hands behind my back and I hold my hands.
Are you restraining yourself? at
Kind
that
of
point?
like mentally, like I'm
Okay.
physical, because you don't want to have this body language
Right.
of I'm about to fucking punch you in the
that you're
head.
squaring up. It's
Yeah, because that's not
all
good. It's like
about
that's how
body language.
That's how men and like animals and like they read each other's
Right.
fucking body
Sure.
language. So you got to constantly, when you deal with something,
Don't be combative.
you don't want to be combative and you want to just be relaxed. And speaking of body language, I'm just gonna do that.
Perfect.
Boom.
Maybe I end up holding it. Who knows?
That's what she said. Anyway, so speaking of that, no, have you?
Trying to get comfy here in your lounge.
Yeah, get comfy. We got all the time in the world.
Good.
Um,
Don't worry, my glam squad didn't show up.
so have you? Speaking of things in that, like, have you dating in the industry? How's that been for you? Do you date bartenders? Do you date guys outside of Tivoli? Like, have you dated regulars? Like, is there any stories or anything that you could think of that, like, appropriately? I don't know. What's going on with that?
I don't date industry.
Don't date industry. Interesting. What's the reason for that?
I don't really date in general. Well, I need to probably get back on that horse.
Okay.
Why don't I date in the industry? Because I know the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Even like bar owner. I'm not even talking just bartender, promoter. I'm even talking maybe even bar owner. I grew up my dad owning a bar too.
Yeah.
And I mean, it would take a certain someone. I don't want to generalize it like that.
Okay. Your experience with people in the industry has not been great.
It's been phenomenal. It's just not what I'm looking for. I'm actually just looking for a guy that wants to open like a ranch in Yellowstone and put his feet up and retire. We just go
simple, mellow, no drama.
Said hi. My dad was pretty top notch. So it's just also I don't want to like cuss. I don't want to shit where I eat. I don't. Indians don't shit in their own
shit,
teepee.
cock, balls.
Right. So I don't really like my personal life being in that area.
Okay.
And I don't think that people should congregate at work. I don't think it's good for the business. And I like that elusiveness of
professionalism.
But again, if I met someone that rocked my world,
yeah,
and he was in it for a certain, it's just not. In most industry, man, I like a good old boy, a good old it would depend. So that's a really hard question for me. But no, I don't do industry.
Well, that sounds good. It sounds like you're professional. And you're not really trying to fuck around.
that owned the industry, and that even kind of, yeah.
I just know that that's the only reason I ask, because I know it's a hot topic in our industry. Yeah. Is everybody? I find that
they all congregate.
Everybody dates everybody. Everybody bangs everybody and stuff like that. So.
I just clean up the mess afterwards.
That sounds like you've got your head on straight in that department.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been many years coming, but I just try to keep it professional and.
Yeah, it's the best way. Nothing when you're dating coworkers or you're dating customers, it's like it never ends well.
No one wants to be in an environment where it's a couple that has banter that could be toxic to the bar. I don't encourage it for my staff, so why would I do that, so to speak? Am I going to say that someone hasn't walked into my bar before where I've gone out to dinner with? Sure.
Okay.
Miracles do happen. Baseball season's great for that. But I don't tend to like to keep that a pattern, and I just, growing up in the industry, I like opposites attract.
Okay.
And I also am really into serial killers, so that wouldn't be like my, that wouldn't work out for me.
Okay. Very good to know. All right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. What, in terms of our professional lives, what motivates you to get up and crush every day? Like, why does Jessica get up, go to work? Like, what is it mentally? Where does that come? What goes through your mind which says, I got to get after this?
The fact that I'm actually doing something that means something to me and means something to so many other people, the fact that people depend on me, the fact that if I don't go, things do tend to fall apart. I'm not tooting my own horn, so to speak, but there's definitely, I am a huge part of the glue to the foundation. And it's really nice to be needed and wanted and know that what I do does make a difference, and that I have a place that I'm not in this stiff 9-to-5 environment. I need to be there for my meetings, but I can show up when I need to be there, stay till when I need to be there. Freelance to the fact I live so close by to my business that at a drop of a pin, I can be there.
Yep.
I've even gone picked up ice in the middle of the night, like gotten bottles for them. Like, there's just that freedom of having not so much structure, but having structure that I've built and I've created, and knowing that I have made a difference. I give people the tools to succeed and make money. And so I think that motivation is that I am needed and what I do is important. But again, it wears on you. It's hard. There are some mornings I wake up and my body, like when I have a little bit of time off, because I also deal with like the legal department, different facets, I am mentally exhausted, but I know that my bosses are, bless their hearts, 78, 82 years old, and they get there at 5 a.m. every morning to open up the building.
Really?
So if I can't get my, booty out of bed at
You're allowed to swear.
8. Sorry, I'm a lady Catholic, but
No worries. You
I
can.
teach,
You can.
yeah,
Don't
my
worry.
daughter not to swear, so I try to keep it clean. But I do cuss like a sailor sometimes. When in Rome, though, never at work.
That's my next question for you. You talked about not working in a corporate 9 to 5. Like, I feel like sometimes in today's culture, like being authentically yourself can get you into trouble. Do you feel
Definitely.
like how do you balance what we kind of were talking about earlier, where you got to keep that professionalism, but also bring your own spin and authenticity, and this is who Jessica is, and I'm going to put my own touch, where you like, how do you deal with, that line of being authentically yourself, but also keeping that professionalism and watching out? Is that tough for you at all? Like, do you have to deal with that?
Because I live by truth and honesty, no. So I'm very sometimes too, which can get me in trouble. I'm almost too straightforward. I'm honest.
Dude.
I speak the truth. I'm blunt. I wear my heart on my sleeve. What you see is what you get. You will see my reaction, my face. I don't hold back, and I don't live by lies. I bust fraud cases. I deal with the truth. So I can happily rest my head on my pillow at night. So there is no doubt in my mind when I go home at night. I've not, I'm making a better environment for my bosses. Do feel good to go on vacation to Ireland 3 months out of the year and leave me with a bar during the height of baseball. So there's that area that I know that what I've created is such an honest environment where if you're doing something wrong, I'm going to find it and I'm going to expose it, but I'm also live by my own truth. So I don't have any guilt doing that.
Okay. Gotcha.
But there is a hard balance sometimes with that, because I have to sometimes, if it's not going to affect the business so hard to a point where I have to look a blind eye with things that are so minuscule, where you have to separate that balance. Like, I could be sitting on the cameras and saying, oh, you took a shot here, you did this, you did that. But at the end of the day, if they can maintain their composure and not be sloppy, so to speak, and outsell anyone, that I have to sometimes know that I'm not going to always alert the owners but that's also me then sometimes having to know that if I create a rule or a boundary, it should be consistent.
Yeah.
But in the industry, there's nothing consistent. So it's a really hard dynamic, to be honest. So
it is.
I don't know where I got off on that tangent.
That's okay.
I kind of like side railed when you asked me, but it's definitely, there's a fine line before, like, you see a lot, but there's also like part of doing business. But again, I think what I was getting at is I live by my truth, and I'm always know that at the end of the day, I am telling the truth. I'm seeing these things. I'm busting for. It's just crazy how shady people are. I think that's where I'm getting frustrated, because
right, talk to me about that. What are you talking about?
I deal with
Vent.
theft and fraud on a daily basis.
When you say that, do you mean like people's cards, fake cards? Like, what are you talking about? You don't have to go into it if you don't want to.
I'm in a lot of cases where I can't fully.
No worries. That's
yeah.
okay. That's okay. I understand that, because I've had situations where I'm a bartender and I take somebody's card and it doesn't work at the end of the night and they're fucking gone.
Right.
And that's $100 tab that's just to the wind.
Well, even like because I can speak on it a little bit to elaborate. My dad's business, we had an embezzling bookkeeper, and she was basically family to us. And this was the second time this happened. Took my mom's identity, started, doing stuff on the business account. When I entered one of my newer jobs, I don't want to mention names, we had a similar situation happen.
Yeah.
And I was able to bust it right away. It's these things I look out for, and it's really crazy how much, because especially with the bar I'm in now, there's a lot of freedom. It's not corporate like we were talking about. So people kind of make their own rules. They're not watched. There's not this stiff corporate environment but we are watching things. But I think sometimes people can get carried away when the inmates start running the asylum, so to speak,
Ooh.
that's where we get into slippery slopes. And being a woman GM at my age, having to address those issues has been a challenge because of my age and who I am. The respect sometimes that I get from them back, which is earned, is a little bit different, if I was a man and I was like cut and dry. So I do battle that quite a bit.
It seems like...
And I also have light for bartenders that, they're great, but they all have their own set ways.
It seems like you're going through this industry. What I'm taking from what you're saying is you're going through this industry and you're seeing how unethical people are at times. And I agree with you because I'm experiencing that too on different fronts.
Sure.
And I'm not going to sit here and point fingers. No. But it's just like, I think we got to realize what we're selling. We do sell sort of escapism.
Sure.
And we
100%.
sell, we're not selling, like, child fucking development. We're selling liquor.
The devil, the booze.
Seriously. And I'm not, and it's not negatively talking about
great.
that, but like,
No,
like, you know what I feel like? Sometimes I do feel like we get a little caught up in working at escapism, and that's tough for people. So well,
it's the only industry that survives, hence prohibition. Liquor is the way to go. If I always suggest what people do for a living, like liquor.
Because
they'll never go away.
They'll always be people. They'll always need people to sell it.
Yeah, but it can be
Oh,
devil on your shoulders.
Yeah, I know, and I think about that sometimes. Like we do sell this product, and the goal is to show people a good time. And I think what's coming out from both of us is where we do experience like the challenges of containing some of that. It's tough.
Right.
When people just let all their shit out.
Right.
It's like that is what this job becomes a little bit.
At least you have a barrier with you. You have the bar in front of you. I'm in like the splash zone at SeaWorld. I'm basically like out on the floor all the time from the office to the floor.
Yeah.
So you have that barrier. I'm in like that like hugging, touching zone. No, and I love our regulars in the industry, but I sometimes wonder if I see how much bartenders make. And there's this like little bit of like envy, but I see how much of their soul that can take. So I get why teachers want to bartend. I get why the money is phenomenal.
You pay the price.
But you pay the price.
Pay the price.
And maybe I want to be in the splash zone then. Shoot.
It's a good way to look at it. It's a good way. No, it's a good way to look at it. Bartenders, I think we do. Take on some of the blunt force.
Well, you have bar stools at your bar. I don't even have bar
During
stools.
the daytime, you guys don't have them?
No.
You really?
Oh, Western. We're trying to bring them back. I want them back, a few of them. The bartenders don't like it. I think a lot of people like to like get into the fruit trays as a poo-poo platter and stick there. The bartenders have this. I'll let people bring stools up every once in a while. I want them back at least 4 or 5
When
of them.
did you guys get rid of the stools? Because last time I was there were stools.
No, well, someone just brought one up. Because then they probably had to move it back during the pandemic.
No. During the daytime, you guys have fucking stools.
No. People sometimes will let a man.
No, I'm talking about the tables. The tables.
Yeah.
The tables.
No, there's no bar stools. There's no bar seating.
Oh, at the bar, there's no bar stools.
No bar seating.
I know. It's weird.
I know. I've argued for it because at least give me let's do a couple seats. The bartenders have this they probably, what we were talking about, don't want to be therapists where people are in there. Yeah, but it's an old Western bar, so I think the cowboy looks kind of cool when
it
you
fucking
stick
is.
your
You
leg.
do have like that old Western bar.
Yeah, you put your leg up and kind of I thought they could put like a spittoon underneath.
You do. You guys do kind of have that feel. Okay. I have a lot of questions for you. What's your biggest goal that you want to accomplish in this industry? We got Jessica. It's the end of your life. We're rolling back the tape. what do you want to get after? What do you want to do? What mountains do you want to climb? And where do you want to go? You're about to turn 40.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done, 80, 90 years from now, or when you're 80, 90 years, what do you want? Like, what are your goals?
Well, my job is to right now pay it forward. I unfortunately lost my dad's business and his land. And the bar that I run, I want to protect their land and their family, and going forward, not have what happened to my family happen to them. So my goal is to deliver the job I said to do and to pay it forward. And with that being said, I'm learning so much in the process, emulating that. Being 40, my future is bright. So things will change, and you always have to be prepared for the next move. And so, nothing is forever, but I'm definitely want to protect the legacy that I said I was going to protect and move forward, and everything that I've learned during that, emulate that. Is that say I'm going to take over, try to create my own. I know what the bar industry is like. I just take it right now one day at a time, but know that whatever I'm doing is what I'm, meant to be doing. And yeah, definitely protecting their land. But, you have to worry about myself as well. And I've created such great relationships with my vendors. And I definitely feel, even going to business school, whatever schooling I've done, there's nothing like the streets and like doing it yourself to teach you things. And I've learned so much in the past 5 years, going through a pandemic, running a bar basically by myself when the Padre seasons, my bosses leave. There's a lot of stuff that I've tested myself on and I've succeeded. So my future's bright, and I don't know right now how to fully answer that, but whatever it is, it's just going onward and upward.
Just one day at a time.
One day at a time.
I think you answered it, one day at a time.
Yeah,
that's
maybe
how
I'll
I try to live my
in
life.
A couple of years, shoot.
Yo, me too. I just
Maybe
take it
I'll
one
start
day at a time. If
bartending.
I, you know what I learned? If I look up at Mount Everest, if I look at the top every step, I'll never get there. I look one step at a time.
Right. Can't look up. Gotta look forward.
I just fucking, if you are like a small guy, like I would consider in this industry, if you're at the bottom and you're staring at the celebrity chef who makes $100 million a year, who's on fucking Food Network and all that stuff,
Sure.
like you're never going to get there. But if you take it one step at a time,
Just kidding.
it's a dead ass.
Hey, shit
Dead
happens. I
ass,
remember
man.
he was shucking my oysters at Ocean Air. Love you, Brian.
We've kind of talked about your I
I didn't mean to interrupt you. No, I like that metaphor, by the way.
Seriously, no, I think about that because you can't build the Mona Lisa overnight. You can't climb Mount Everest overnight. It's
so
one step at a time.
What do you think about this then? So all these crazy entrepreneurs and people that have like had these crazy business, they just want to retire and be a bartender.
Who?
People say that all the time, that they wish they would own a bar. All they want to do is like bartend on some island in the middle of nowhere. People that have ran these corporate environments.
Fucking idiots.
Do you think bartending might be like the next wave of people that want to? I don't know. There's something to be said about that.
No, I see what you're saying.
Because if I had $1 for everyone that told me, I can't, like.
Yeah, I know. We hear that all the time.
I can't wait to open a bar, and I go, I would not wish that on my enemy. Owning a bar, unless you own the land, it's a
grind.
It's a
fucking
grind. I would not wish it on my enemy.
And we're in California, and everything's very expensive. No, I get what you're saying.
Just because you put a celebrity name on it doesn't create this like
those
things fail.
Here's what I hear. I have people who go. I have friends who go, "Oh, I'll buy a 5% into a bar, and we're gonna open." I'm sorry. We're going to close every other week, and we're going to have our own parties. It's going to be fun. And we're going to do that.
Shits and giggles.
To run it's a business, and to run a profit on these people takes such foot to the gas.
Right.
And you have to, and it's like, you do that for 1 year. And you're like, oh my gosh, and you do it for 2. No, you have to do that for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It's a constant pedal to the metal.
Right.
And that's what people don't understand is what it takes to run a successful restaurant and run a profit. Do I know what it takes? No, I don't. But what I do, I see successful people and I see people who fail. And I analyze and I observe and I go, that person is successful. What are they doing? Oh my gosh, it's so fucking stressful.
Investors. That's why the beautiful gold mine of Tivoli is they own the land. Similar with my dad. So the rents, as you know, downtown are, I'm not going to mention names, $60,000 a month, $35,000, $40K a month. So anyone coming into this business that doesn't have a sister operation to help carry that is going to.
What you're talking about is it costs a lot of money. It's very expensive.
It's a very expensive, and to drive revenue, you gotta have
you gotta have something.
And because you have money doesn't mean you have a concept that'll stick. It's a hard.
Let me ask you a real question. If you were gonna start a bar, what would your concept be?
Exactly like the one I have. Historic, old.
How do you create a historic bar from scratch?
You can't.
So what do you do?
What do you do?
Yeah.
Well.
Talk to me.
Well, Wyatt Earp used to have a brothel in my bar. So, like, there's not a lot of history. You have to have a brand. Like, my father, he was a Navy SEAL. He had a Navy SEAL bar. The owners of Tivoli have a historic bar. Wyatt Earp, they have a niche and also location. So, if I were to do this now, I would want it to be my story. I would want historic land, and I want it to be in the right location. And
what's your story?
What's my story?
Yeah. In terms of like starting a bar, like what's the
I'm a
theme?
bloody Mick. I'm a McPartlin.
So you do an Irish, you do a pub.
Well, I mean,
do a pub.
I have a non-compete. I can't do a pub again.
You have a non-compete?
Yeah, I'm not allowed to.
So wait, when you say that,
I'm not allowed to open one of my dad's businesses.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, within a 5-mile radius. Yeah. But I'm allowed to say that, so it's good. Yay. So I can't do my same concept. I could do like a McTivoli.
You don't have to call it. You can call it whatever the fuck you want. You call it just as the fucking pub.
It's timing, it's place. Like that's not something you start out of scratch. It's something almost like you land. With the concepts these days. It's location. That's a hard.
All right,
question.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
If I was gonna do a bar, what I was just talking about with.
I would do a brothel.
Oh, you do a fucking whorehouse?
Legal poker game, like a Molly's game. Sorry. Okay.
Cheers.
I just
Nice.
thought of that. Yeah. Which I kind of already do. But no, I'm kidding.
Here's what I've found that sells. You make your money. Okay. I'm going to slow down for a second.
Yeah. What type of bar would you do? I know it'd be Irishy. I know it'd be like hot. I know it'd be like East. It'd be chill. It would be like my concept. I already know it.
I think you make your money off the shots.
Sure. Shot skis?
What? No, but
hockey.
I don't think what you and I what we're getting into is the business aspect of a bar.
Yeah.
And I think people underestimate how little the profit margins are.
Oh yeah.
And how
you won't profit for like year 50. You don't
okay. This is a really good conversation. No, I like that we're getting into this.
I'm not allowed to talk numbers though.
You're not allowed to talk numbers. I am. So the things that profit high in a bar
sure
are like liquor.
Yes.
Bottled beer.
100%.
Food is a low profit margin.
Right. That's why historic bars do well. Like Waterfront, Tivoli, Star Bars, bottles and beers, shots.
The reason that you don't like to call them dive bars. That's fine. I like to call them dive bars. The reason that dive bars are high in profit are because there's no kitchen and there's no food.
Right.
And what I think a lot
depend on your ABC license.
Right. It's all about the license. And for those who don't know, when you start a bar, you have to get a liquor license, and there's different kinds of liquor license. Right. Remember,
But you want food because you want those 6 a.m. liquor license. That's mine's granddaddy did.
So. This is where I'm gonna push back.
Yeah.
The bars which are very hard to get the license without that, where you don't have to sell food, you don't have to worry about a kitchen with kitchen staff with payroll.
Sure.
That is a whole other department and cost that's eats into your profits.
100%. It's really hard to do a kitchen. Let me tell you, it is between bar backs and hosts, not security. Kitchen. It's my hardest place in the bar.
Yeah.
It's the hardest area.
So I think the higher profit margin, correct me if I'm wrong, the higher profit margin bars are the ones without food and the dive bars
100%.
because you don't have any expenses
Sure.
in the kitchen and the food. There's such, when I was saying earlier, the profit margin on food is so small because of the payroll with the kitchen staff.
Breakfast is definitely more lucrative because the cost of like, well, not anymore eggs, but definitely.
You think so? You think those breakfast spots are, yeah, is that a thing?
Yeah.
I believe you. Yeah.
In that sense. But again, like with your liquor license, with like certain ones, so to speak, you have to have some sort of food, be it, chips, pizza, whatever the kitchen is. It has to be open a certain amount of hours per week. The fact to be able to get a liquor license without having to have some sort of food is like, it's hard.
It's very competitive to buy those licenses.
They don't have any more in San Diego.
So remember, we're speaking to people who aren't necessarily in this industry.
True.
So there's different types of licenses you could buy for bars. And licenses where you have to sell food, and right. I think in some cases it has to be a percentage of your cost.
Right.
Or your sales.
Sure.
So
and that dictates like the hours you can open your operation.
Yeah,
there's a lot of like in liquor license in California, so to speak. I don't know about different states so much. Especially San Diego, they're like unheard of. A lot of these places are granddaddied in, and they have rights.
Very expensive.
Very expensive. I get requests and solicitations, so to speak.
People want to buy Tivoli?
Or the liquor license because it's granddaddied in.
Cheers, dude. I appreciate you coming out.
Cheers.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Hopefully the goal is that people come visit you and people learn from, your wisdom, you and everything. And
always love promoting the brand, but again, as long as I can help people.
I mean, that's what it's about.
But, you got to put your mask on first. But
what do you mean?
I always, I have to learn, like, in this industry, like, I definitely am I love to take care of people. Sometimes you got to put your mask on, but yeah.
When you say put your mask on, what do you mean by that?
Taking care of yourself, making sure
Dude, that's what this is about.
Yeah, wellness on the rocks.
Bro. Self-care.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. This industry will take a beating on you.
It does.
It's
really
not
fucking
like
does.
Turks and Caicos. It's not like a day at the spa. It's definitely, it's hard on the body,
if you
my
could
own body.
Let me ask you this. If you could go back 15 years, what would you do differently? You personally for your life.
How old would I be? Like 12? No, I'm kidding. So 15.
What would you do differently? 10 years? Like, well, if you could tell your 10-year-old self something, what would you do differently to take care of yourself?
I would never do anything different.
Really?
Wherever I'm at now is where I'm supposed to be.
That's a good. I like that. Okay.
Yeah. If I did something different, I wouldn't be sitting here with you right now.
That's very true.
Yeah, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I mean, I could always think shoulda, woulda, coulda. If I didn't go to the movies that night, if I would have gone on that date with Charlie Sheen, would my baby's daddy be different? Would this, coulda, everything I've done has led me to where I need to be. So if I could have done something different, I wouldn't be right here. What I could say on that is that I would definitely cherish each moment and not be in such a hurry. And definitely take in each moment and not take it for granted, not being such a fast hustle, a rush to grow up, be something, have this business, be the best. I just wish I could have. But again, if I didn't have the hustle, I wouldn't be where I was at. So I think just taking every moment and really appreciating it and going slow in life. I'm a fast-paced person. I should have been from the East Coast. I'm not. I do feel like I live my life really fast, and sometimes I would have wanted to tell my, 12-year-old self, I'm just kidding, like 25, 30, slow down and just enjoy. Cheers.
Cheers. That was a great answer.
Thank you. Truth.
Because I got to do that shit too.
Yeah. It's hard.
Our brains are wired, I think, to just constantly move and to constantly go to the next thing. And it's,
right.
I don't know. It doesn't really feel good.
Is it like, I don't like defining terms like ADHD or whatever it might be. Like I've always thought like whatever they call ADHD that I have, I've definitely, my brain is constantly
in motion,
thinking in motion. When someone's talking, I'm thinking how to respond late or what I have to say. And as a woman, I don't get to talk that much. So I'm kidding. So I have to always store it. But I now think before I try to think more before I speak. I try to take in what the other person is telling me. I try to observe. Try not to be so hard on myself. I think wisdom and age, as much as I talk about, I'm 40, I'm scared, but I think there's something powerful with age and wisdom and the life lessons I've learned. Yeah, I'm not a dinosaur, but I've definitely been in the industry a very long time, and this industry in San Diego, so to speak. So I think just kind of now being more aware of what I say, what I hear, my surroundings, and honestly, like learning to keep that as a business and not a lifestyle is hard, because back in the day I was like the industry girl. I was out at every club. I was doing bottle service. I was like when the Chargers were in town. I mean, I ran the city, so to speak. But now going from an entrepreneurial side to it, sorry, list. I don't have a list, but gap teeth. Entrepreneurial side to it, I feel that there's a different mindset that I have. So, but I think you have to be in it to know about it. That's like what we talked about, working every angle of every job. You can't work in a place till you've cleaned the bathrooms, you've tended the bar. Then I feel like you should learn every aspect of your business. So every aspect of me learning the industry was being a part of the industry, being an industry it girl, being on, then going from working into it, not having to work into it, then wanting to work into it. It's definitely been like a full roller coaster of industry on the rocks.
Yeah, industry on the rocks, dead fucking ass. I guess that's my question for you is like, what are the, if I could pry a little bit, like what are the on the rocks parts? Like what are the parts where you're like, fuck, Because I have those.
Sure. I think thinking that you think that you're someone and then not realizing that you are not replaceable, but there's so many other people like you. And sometimes you get in this mindset that you have all of these things to give, which you do, and you put that in the right carrier hands, so to speak, and you can get ahead of yourself and you can think that people will have your back. But there's a million women or men just like you fighting for that. So you have to be able to distinguish your worth between your value. And that's a hard distinguishing factor that I've had to make. And going from the it girl, party girl to the entrepreneurial side of it or businesswoman, and having, being on Rotary, being on the Chamber Commerce Board, like doing all the Gaslamp Association work and being respected, I don't think I would have known the industry had I not been in it. But then being able to separate that, it's balance in life. And definitely I feel like you don't know something till you've really experienced it. And San Diego's a very interesting cat. There's a few big hands in the pot, but you learn those. And I've worked in everything from media, consulting, real estate, accounting, hospitality. So you get to know the same players in the game, but it's what you make of the game. And that knowing that you just keep by your truth and stay strong to your word. And yeah, but I wouldn't have learned that without my industry party girl days.
I think it's what I took from what you just said, worth versus value.
That's huge.
That's very interesting. I think self-worth
right.
is a big part of how people live their lives. And I'm trying to improve my own self-worth, and I'm trying to improve those self-worths of the people around me.
Oh, I think you're doing a great job.
You know what I mean? And I think that the more we, as people, think about those things, I don't know, what improves self-worth? Is it your salary? Is it the money you make? Is it the job title? Is it the amount you can bench press? Is it
definitely not
the
the
breast
monetary.
size of the
Right.
girl? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like what is that? You know, self-worth is really interesting.
Right. Well, let me tell you this. It's definitely not monetary value. It's not money, because it doesn't matter how much money you make, how you feel about yourself. Like, my mom used to say, if you're in love, you could live in a box. And I used to say, is that box the Four Seasons? But it's true. Like, when you're happy in your moment, there is nothing that like defines anything. But obviously, money gave me a certain freedom and confidence, because when you're struggling, having, your grocery bills declining and you're check to check, sometimes it's like gambling. You can't make moves you would necessarily make because you're stuck in that moment. But when it doesn't define you, there's that freedom with business and an expression. So I've had a big struggle with that. And I think that it's really that moment that I can't say it's not like monetary. So when I just said what I said, I retract that a little bit, because in order to have that you have to be able to pay your bills.
You have to be able to pay your bills.
But
rent, groceries.
But when you realize that you aren't being taken advantage, like you're making money off what you put out there, and like off yourself, your brand, that there's something that is to be said about that. And I think that's what defines us. That's that moment when you finally realize like everything you've done on your own and not being helped. But again, cash money, make the money.
It's a balance.
Balance is hard. That's like, I'm not a yogi. I don't know how to fully answer that. I'm still
I know,
seeking
you're good.
that
You're good. I know,
answer.
me too, bro. We're both seeking that
Yeah.
shit. We are still figuring that
Right,
shit
I'm
out,
like
dude.
probably that
Cheers,
girl that
dude.
should be doing like ayahuasca in Peru.
No,
or
no,
Costa Rica.
no,
Because I got some PTSD. I won't lie.
Jessica, we are both still on that journey of figuring these things out.
Right.
It's okay that we don't have this figured out.
Every day is definitely a struggle. But I definitely, I feel like it's a learning basis, one day at a time. So it's a hard answer. Balance is, you have to have a little bit of fun in life, but you have to have that tight regime. And again, moderation, life, happy wife, whatever it is, moderation should be the key. And I think finding, like you said, that balance and not going so extreme is...
You can't be
It's a struggle. It's a struggle.
You can't be extreme.
So I don't bartend.
I know, dude. I know.
No, kidding. I love it. I wish I did, actually. I'm going to go back to it. Maybe soon. Celebrity guest bartender. Ready.
I'd fucking hire you.
Shit.
Fuck.
I'll do a special night.
Oh,
I do it every once in a while. It's like riding a horse, they say. It's so fun because I don't have to deal with I feel like, because I love people. So bartending to me, when it's not your life or your lifestyle, when I get back on the floor, it's like money, cash. It's so good. It's so, people are like, because they're not used to seeing me on the floor because they know I'm upstairs
Yep.
in that little Charlie dungeon, whatever you call to see. So they love it because it's a new face. And because I don't have bartender burnout, I'm really excited. And I have so much fun. And it's like taking candy from a baby. And I really enjoy it because it's not my everyday thing.
yeah.
And I think when something's like a hobby or your not everyday thing, it's enjoyable, like what we're doing right now.
It's new. It's fresh.
There I go with my Italian hand. Sorry.
But you do have we all play roles.
Mm-hmm.
And your role to Tivoli is like really fucking important. What you do is arguably more challenging than what I do or what some of your bartenders do. I don't know. It's not about like dick measuring contests, but it's like, yo, man, the GM is the person who keeps the house together.
I keep the tools in the shed so you guys make the money off of the shed.
I think of it about it as you're the middleman between the owners and the staff.
Basically, yeah.
And you're the one who because it's hard to keep both parties happy.
It really
People
is.
don't realize that as you are the negotiator between the guys who own the bar
Right.
and the fucking everybody who works the bar. And it's tough. Making both people happy is
Right.
very challenging.
Especially...
It's negotiation.
Right, especially because I don't have an HR department. I don't have a legal department. I am the legal department. I am the HR department. And because they own the land and we're an old standing bar, so I deal with a lot. I wear a lot of hats, so to speak. And then maintaining that relationship with the staff, and then being basically a PA to my bosses, because you know they're fun time of the year. They have houses in Ireland. They travel a lot. I take care of their children. So I wear so many hats, which is when you run a mom and pop's establishment, they own the land. That's what that entails. So if I were to work for some corporate environment, I would have a more set role, which that's what I love, is the freedom to what I do is very extensive. I have worked in law before. I didn't finish law school. I have worked doing I've done a lot of hats, so to speak. So this hat has been, everything I've done has taken me to where I need to be. And definitely that's where I think my value is. I'm a good assistant. I'm a good GM. There's an area, but you have to be a certain type of person with skin to work in the situation I work in. Some people like that corporate stiff I shouldn't say stiff. They like that more protocols, the more HR. I'm a numbers shark. I'm a sales shark, but I'm old school in that sense where I love the style of work environment that I work in because it's exactly how I grew up.
I got you. Do you have kids?
I have one. Yeah, I have a daughter.
How old is she?
15.
Wow. Does she live with you?
Don't age me. Yes.
I can cut that out.
I'm blessed. She stays with my mom a lot.
That's tough, man. Doing all this stuff with a kid. Like I kind of
I'm a single mom. Yeah.
I kind of wanted to get into that a little bit, but I know that's a little personal, so we don't have to get into that. But
I'm blessed. But it's hard.
What are some questions you have for me, Stout Public House, anything what is something I don't know, like what are your fucking what do you not ask me a question?
Ask you a question?
Yeah.
What got you into wanting to do Wellness on the Rocks, your podcast?
I think working in this industry and constantly lending myself out to people.
Yeah.
Creates this need to regain a little bit of control.
Sure.
And comfort, and I want to do something for myself. Because I think what we do in the hospitality industry is constantly lend ourselves out for other people.
Yeah.
I want to do something for myself. And I think when, I'm somebody who has moved around a lot when I was younger. I was in 4 different school systems from first grade to 12th grade.
Is that because you were in a military family, or why was that? Just because of...
Wasn't a military family. But I think that
I'm digging really deep.
That's okay.
I'm like Howard Stern.
I think that I found value in listening to artists and podcasts, from comedic to
Who's
sports.
your favorite? Joe Rogan?
I like Joe Rogan. He's not my favorite. I love Joe Rogan.
I wasn't going to guess that. I won't ask that.
I don't know if I have one favorite. Barstool Sports.
Duh.
It's probably my favorite.
Shoot.
But I think that that has provided listening to other people talk about their experiences has provided this I don't know. I enjoy it's like passage of time.
You're natural, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah. But I think that enjoying the passage of listening to these people, I enjoy and I learn. And I was like, I think I can do that. I want to do that.
Right.
So
do you want to tell a story of their, what's the message that you're trying to portray? The ins and outs of the good and the bad. Because it's hot. Everyone likes real tea. You know what I mean?
That's what the concept. That's what the concept of Wellness on the Rocks is: the good and the bad.
I like barstool banter.
You keep saying that. I think you should. I know.
As the patio turns,
you should fucking do You should do it. You should try that out.
I should get back into it, huh? I used to be really good at it.
You sent me those videos.
Yeah, A-list.
I watched those videos, dude.
Yeah, shout out to Ivan.
I think you're good at that.
Thank you. It was I had a good thing going with Manchester, UTTV, A-List, my old business partner, Eric Edwards.
Forget about money. Did you enjoy doing it?
It was all pro bono. I didn't make money.
Did you enjoy it?
I didn't make $1. Charity. It was charity. It's what I love. If I could work and do just charity pro bono, I'm not lying. My heart is to I worked with a lot of different foundations. Interviewing athletes is my thing, and I like this loose banter. I actually invented golf cart interviews. And so this was just a thing. And when you have this relaxed conversation, and a lot of the events that we would cover and we would do pro bono were a lot of golf charity events, a lot of leukemia, a lot of just beautiful causes. And if I could donate my time and do footage to create more awareness for the cause, and my brand, it did do well. And Manchester wanted to pick it up, but then, long story short, I did a segment for UTTV, and I think I won up their staff. And so the night I got, that's another story for another podcast. But I thought that was gonna be what I did. So I wanted to work for ESPN, the news. I didn't want to be this talking head. I wanted to expose real truths, give real interviews in such a relaxed environment that we did. And I loved, how beautiful A-List was. So that's something in my future that I would love to recreate again. And even getting on this podcast with you is kind of brought me back to my days.
What's stopping you?
You know what? I think my own self, just time and energy, but I think that's a cop-out. I think just the tools and even sitting here talking with you has made me
kind of get some brain
it's
moving.
kind of, yeah, it's just being with like-minded people, again, that want to do the things. You get stuck in that everyday routine at the bar, running the bar, going back to, because I always believe once your hobby, what you do should be what you love to do. If that makes money one day, that's secondary. But then you obviously have to pay your bills. So that's when getting into these different industries, and if I could work pro bono, I would. But again, I have a child, I have rent to pay. But there's certain thing that I know what I do even at the bar does lead me. I do interviews at Tivoli when the Padres are hot.
Really?
People come in. Oh yeah, the news wants us.
I've seen that.
Oh yeah, I got some good ones going when the Padres are on fire. And I don't love you, boss. I do not let my boss do interviews anymore. We had a certain incident happen where he's a little bit more open on the media, and I didn't like the angle, so I do handle the interviews.
Your southern accent comes out. Yeah.
Sorry, I do. I don't know where that comes from. Is that acting days?
I like people who are too open and say dumb shit.
Well, I have diarrhea mouth, so yeah, you would like me.
No, dead ass.
Why are you single? Kidding.
I like people who I'd take. Yeah. I do feel like there's these people in this industry who are just too robotic and corporate.
Boring.
And they are just, but no. You go into whether it's a bar or it's a retail store or it's anything, and the people are just, hello, how are you?
Oh, they're scripted,
you
they're
know what
SOPs.
You know what I see sometimes? I see people who are at the bar. They do these big corporate parties at the bar, and they're like, "Man, John from fucking HR, nice to see you."
That's called an elevator pitch.
But it's I'm just
awful.
This is a good question for you. What, how do you, I kind of asked this earlier, but how do you fucking find the balance between professionalism and being yourself? Because when you're too corporate and professionalism and it's yo, give me a little bit of Jessica. You know what I mean? And you're doing a good job tonight, but what's up?
Well, I don't demand that people do an elevator pitch. I've worked in a lot of different industries where they want you to spit out this elevator pitch. And I was just listening to a podcast the other day about the GM of the Pendery, and they were asking what's this huge thing in hospitality that people forget about, the concierge service. Because you know why? The concierge service is an unforgotten thing, and they tell the truth. Tell me where you want to go. This is my favorite Thai restaurant. It's kind of about the truth of it, and I think there's that undying art with that.
Concierge?
Yes. Utilize, they're honest.
Can I be honest with you? I don't know what that is. What is concierge?
At a hotel?
Yeah.
it's a free service. You can go up to a concierge service at a hotel and they'll tell you anywhere to go to with an honest opinion. That's where when I have an honest opinion. Like, we're not scripted at our bar. We don't have an elevator pitch. Tivoli, we will tell you what our favorite Thai place is, our favorite Mexican restaurant down the street. I don't pay the staff or give them coupons. They don't have a script. They'll tell you they're having a bad day. They might overshare with you. Yeah. I think the difference between that like talking head corporate style restaurant and bar, you have to like offer certain drinks, say certain things. You're being watched. Your elevator pitch. Yeah. So I tend to go off on tangents, and I don't know where they like think they circle back.
You're crushing it. You're crushing it.
But they have to
because
circle
that's
back
what I
to
asked.
somewhere.
That's why I asked is about. I don't like that, and it sounds like your bartenders and you don't do that.
No, not at all. We're very almost like too honest. We're like the taco suck down. You need to go here, and it's not like no one's bribed by a certain. There's no like.
You're authentically yourself.
Authentically ourselves to the point where we're so diarrhea mouth that we get ourselves in trouble.
But not get yourself. It's right at the line. Right at that line.
But it's not bought though. It's not sold, and that's why I think concierge programs, if they're done right at hotels, they're good to go. But Tivoli, we're going to tell you any other good bar is going to tell you how it is,
where it is, and where to go.
And you have to have that truth.
You gotta have that truth.
You gotta be raw, and you can't be bought.
Can't be bought. Oh, it's tough. It's tougher.
That's
it's easier.
what corporate kind of like. I feel you're watched so much. When you are an artist, a bartender, a performer, whatever it is, bottle service, waiter, you want that free ability to do your art. But when you're watched by this constant corporate environment that wants you on your SOPs, your protocols, you stiffen up and you don't give that experience to the clientele. And when you don't have that, you're
vanilla. Why come to see you?
Right, but then when you don't have those protocols, you are who you are, and that's where it gives you your own flair, and people like the rawness. Look at reality TV; it's huge. People want that raw.
That's why I'm doing this, because I like that shit, dude.
They want that raw dog.
That's what this is supposed to be.
Yeah, you want it raw. You don't want it like little sprinkles on top. You want it. That's why like barstool banters. Hot bar rescue. I mean,
I know.
It's kind of the hot thing. Bars are hot. Everyone drinks somewhere.
Gotta let it out.